Hey romance writers, it is Jenna Harte from Write with Heart, and today we're going to be talking about from fan fiction to author, how writing fan fiction can elevate your writing game. Now there's a question about whether or not writers are born or made. Now, my opinion is that there are those who are born with the gift of wordcraft, but I also know that writing can be learned. I am proof of that. And the hard part for those of us who are not naturally gifted is learning about and then executing good writing. And this is where writing fan fiction can help. Now, you've probably heard of fan fiction, even if you have never written it yourself. But did you know that authors like E.L. James, Cassandra Clare, Rainbow Rowell, Melissa Mayer, Amanda Hocking, Hugh Howey, and Meg Cabot all once wrote fan fiction, and now here they are, successfully published authors? Now, if you've ever or you currently write fan fiction, this video is going to help you use your fan fiction writing to work on various elements to improve your writing. Now, if you've never written fan fiction, this video can still be of use to you, as you can give your try at fan fiction and use it as an exercise to hone your craft. But first, let's get started talking about what is fan fiction. Fan fiction is essentially works of fiction that are written in somebody else's existing world using their existing characters. Now, right off the bat, you're probably wondering if that is even legal. Using somebody else's characters and world would be copyright infringement. And yes, technically that's true, except that people who write fan fiction don't publish and don't make money from it. Fan fiction is an expression of love for books, TV shows, movies, or other fictional media. It's basically a form of literary expression that allows writers to expand, reimagine, and play within the worlds of their favorite works. It also gives non-writing fans who read fan fiction the chance to see their favorite characters put into new storylines. There are actually a variety of types of fan fiction that you could write in. There's canon fan fiction. These can be long stories or short vignettes that stick faithfully to the world and the characters created by the original creator. Then there's alternate universe fan fiction, and these stories change elements of the original creations to explore different timelines, what-if scenarios, or other alternate ideas. There is also crossover fan fiction, and this is ideal for fans who have more than one show, movie, book, or game that they love, and they're able to combine characters from multiple universes into a single story. Next, there is slash fiction, sometimes called slash fic, and these stories explore LGBTQ, romantic, or sexual relationships between fictional characters. Then there is smut fan fiction, and I imagine you can guess what this is. These are stories that are focused solely on explicit, spicy, intimate content. There is even fan fiction written in drabble, which is a term used for any fiction that is only 100 words. There's another form of fan fiction that has grown over the last several years, in which some authors allow other authors to write in their worlds. For example, Susan Stoker publishes books by other authors who write in her world. And if you'd like to know more about that, I will include a link to that information in the description below. Okay, so now that we know what fan fiction is, why should we write it? The truth is, writing fan fiction offers many benefits to new and emerging writers. One of those benefits is that the world and the people already exist. One of the biggest challenges in writing is staring at a blank page. In writing fan fiction, the characters in the world are already established, so all you have to do is dive in headfirst into that universe and start moving the people around. The other benefit to writing fan fiction is that you gain an understanding of characters and how they breathe on the page. By delving into these pre-existing worlds, you gain an understanding of the dynamics between characters, their motivations, the conflicts, and all the intricacies of their relationships. And these are all important elements to writing romance. This also means that writing fan fiction gives you practice in writing without having to delve into character development, creating backstories, and all those other bits that go into writing original fiction. Writing fan fiction can also help you discover your own writing voice. Now, while the world and the characters might already exist in fan fiction, how you tell your story isn't set. In writing, your voice is how your unique writing personality tells the story, from your word choice to the tone to the structure, etc. And through fan fiction, you experiment with different styles. You can explore various genres and craft original characters. And through this, you uncover your unique writing voice and style. Now, another benefit to writing fan fiction is getting feedback and kudos on your writing. Writing fan fiction can get a reader response and excitement about your stories. Fan fiction readers love to see their favorite characters in new situations, and you can build a fan base around these fan readers. Writing fan fiction can also build your writing confidence. The process of sharing your fan fiction with the fan world and receiving feedback and appreciation from these fans fosters confidence in your writing abilities. Writing fan fiction allows you to learn from other writers. By engaging with fellow fan fiction authors, sharing ideas, and exchanging constructive feedback helps you grow and improve as a writer. So now that we've seen the benefits to writing fan fiction, let's talk a little bit about how you can hone your craft through writing fan fiction. Now, I've already mentioned that an aspect of fan fiction that makes the writing easier than writing original fiction is that the basic elements already exist. That is the world and the people. From there, you simply need to come up with story ideas and start writing. And some things to consider as you're doing that are the world itself. Is it in space? Is it set back in time? Is it in a dystopian future? And along with the world, you have the characters. You know their backstories. You know their personalities. You know their internal and external conflicts. And you know their quirks. And because you know these people and you know the world, now you just need to practice describing the world and making the people move and talk. One of the ways to hone your writing by writing fan fiction is actually the practice of writing. As you move the characters through the world, you are practicing your craft. Whether it's mastering the art of imagery, refining your descriptive prowess, creating believable dialogue, or perfecting the delicate balance of showing and telling, fanfiction provides you a safe haven to explore and stretch your writing muscles. Fanfiction can also give you practice in plotting. The fun in fanfiction is creating stories that you wish the book or show or movie or game had offered. And through this process, you learn to balance pacing, tension, and conflict. You can also use fanfiction to play with writing styles and perspectives. In fanfiction, you can challenge yourself or try new things. You can use fanfiction to practice writing from different points of view or different tenses. This is actually what I did, using fanfiction to practice writing in first person present. If your writing is normally lighthearted, you can try your hand at something darker. Writing fanfiction can also give you practice in developing characters. Now, while fanfiction world is already populated, there's no rule that says you can't add more people. Now, while writing fanfiction can be really helpful and a lot of fun, there are some challenges to writing it. One of those challenges is the need to respect the source material and canon. Fanfiction, at its essence, is paying homage to specific worlds and people. And while you have some leeway in your story to push boundaries, fans of this world have an expectation to be able to recognize it and the people within it. Writing fanfiction is a delicate tightrope walk between artistic expression and the responsibility to honor the worlds and characters that have already captured the heart of fans. Another potential challenge is having to deal with criticism or negative feedback. Let's face it, sometimes people on the internet aren't very nice or supportive, and that can be true in the fanfiction world. Some fans might not like the story or how you presented the characters. Others might have comments on the quality of the writing itself. Let's face it, criticism sucks, but it is part of the writer's life. And while this might hurt, this sort of feedback gives you the chance to improve and develop the thick skin needed to be an author. So we've talked about some of the challenges. Now let's talk about the cons and limitations to writing fan fiction. Here are a few of the cons. One is the lack of originality. The fanfiction world was conceived by someone else, and you're simply visiting and playing there. The dependency on the source material poses challenges in developing wholly original ideas and concepts. While you may be able to craft new scenarios or alternate universes, the foundation must be rooted in the existing canon. And this can impede your creative potential as you try to navigate the boundaries set by the original creators. Another potential negative is the dependency on the source material. Fanfiction thrives on our love for the source material, but this very adoration can also be a double-edged sword. As a writer, you find yourself relying on these pre-established character traits and relationships to anchor the narrative. And while this can provide a sense of comfort and familiarity, it can also limit your exploration of the character's growth beyond what the original work allowed. Feedback bias is another potential issue. Now, earlier I suggested that some fans might be critical, but the more likely scenario is that fans are going to love your work no matter how well you write. And while adoration from fans is uplifting, it feels great, it might not always provide you with the critical feedback you need to grow in your writing. Another potential problem is that fanfiction is not considered published works. When it comes to getting an agent or a publisher, your fanfiction may not help you, although it shouldn't hinder you either. Fanfiction posted online is not considered a publishing credit by agents and publishers. The only exception to this would be if you had a significant fan base, which is what happened to Anna Todd, who started writing a fan fiction and then rewrote it into the After series. Now, we talked earlier about how fan fiction can help you improve your writing, but let's also talk about some areas in which it may not teach you about writing. While fan fiction offers you the ability to practice many elements of writing, there are some elements in which you won't get a lot of practice, including original world building. In fan fiction, readers already possess a level of familiarity with the world that you are exploring, and that means you do not have to go into a great amount of detail in explaining it, and because of that, you don't necessarily get practice in world building. Another area that writing fan fiction may not help you in is in character creation, because again, in fan fiction, the foundation of the characters are already there. They are already fully formed. You and your readers know them, and because of that, unless you are adding a new character that you've created, you don't need to create fully formed 3D characters. Another area where fanfiction may not help you develop is in crafting character arcs and growth over the course of a story. Now, of course, fanfiction is a story, so it does allow for some character development, but it's within an established canon. Original works require you to mold all this, to create all this entirely from scratch. And another aspect of that is developing relationships and dynamics between original characters. Because again, in fan fiction, you are exploring the dynamics that are already there. They're pre-existing in the characters. So you do not have to formulate that from scratch. Another problem we hinted at earlier under limitations, in that creating compelling and unpredictable storylines can be limited because fan fiction is already grounded in canon and plot lines, whereas original works present an exciting, although challenging, opportunity to create all that from your own unique original idea. And we see this as limited because fanfiction writers often are using the formula or structure of the source material, whereas in original fiction, you're going to have to decide all this, all the intrigue and mystery and twists from scratch. Writing fanfiction may also not give you all that you need in terms of learning how to balance pacing, tension, and conflict that is required in new narratives, because in fan fiction, the tension and conflict are often sourced from the original material. Another challenge you might have in writing fan fiction is learning how to write book-length works. Now, fan fiction comes in all lengths, from short stories to the never-ending thousands of word tomes. But if you want to transition from writing fan fiction into original fiction, you need to understand that books have very specific word counts, especially if you would like to be traditionally published. A first-time author is going to have a difficult time selling an original romance that is less than 50,000 words or more than 90,000 words, unless it's a fantasy, in which case you might be able to get up to 120,000 words. However, the other side of that is, by knowing that, you can use fan fiction to help you learn how to plot and write within word count constraints. Now, if your interest is in becoming an original romance author, at some point you're going to want to transition from writing fan fiction to writing original romance writing. So let's talk about how you can do that. Now, one option is to turn a fan fiction you've written into an original fiction. Now, in doing this, you may think all you need to do is change the name of the characters and the worlds, but you need to be careful with this. You can land yourself in hot water if your original fiction is too easily recognized as a fan fiction, but with different names. Consider, if you have read E.L. James's 50 Shades of Grey, do you recognize that those characters started out as Edward and Bella from Twilight? Or in reading Clarissa Clare's Mortal Instruments series, do you recognize Harry Potter in there? The answer to this is basically no. And so the trick to transitioning from a fan fiction story to original fiction involves more than just changing names. Now, while you absolutely want to change the names, you want to change more than that. You want to change the characters' backstories. You want to change how they look. You want to change the settings. In the end, your fan fiction should not be recognizable as fan fiction. A different option would be to write a reimagined fan fiction. Now, there have been many books lately that are reimaginings of myths or fairy tales like Beauty and the Beast. Now, these books have the essence of their original counterparts, and yet they are completely different. You can do something similar where you have the essence of the characters or the world of the fan fiction, and yet they're completely reimagined with different jobs and backgrounds and settings. In fact, this is what I've done with one of my series. And the final option is just to let go of fan fiction altogether and come up with something 100% original. Developing characters that are just grown from your imagination and building the world that they live in, again, just from your imagination. Well, I don't want to spend too much time on this because it is a big topic. You can make the journey from fan fiction writer to a published author. Now, this might seem like a daunting task, but as I've already mentioned, so many authors have done this, including myself. And something to realize is that if you have readers who are reading your fan fiction and they love you, you now have a group of readers ready to support you as you move into writing original fiction. Now, the process of getting published has many moving parts, whether you want to self-publish or traditionally publish, and I don't have enough time to go into it today. But it all starts with revising your book and then hiring an editor. Then after that, you can seek an agent or publisher or go the self-publishing route. There's a great deal of information and resources on how to get published, and I encourage you to check it all out. I will include links to a few in the description below. So now that we've gone over the benefits and some of the limitations of fan fiction, are you ready to give it a try? Writing fan fiction starts by determining if you have a favorite book, TV show, movie, or video game. And in thinking about that, do you ever wish that the characters did something different, or that the creator explored some facet you felt fell short? All you need to do is take that and write something about it. Write the thing you wish the characters had done, or write the missing scene that you felt the creator had left out. Use this exercise to work on areas you feel your writing can benefit from, such as how to write setting or dialogue. Or maybe use it to test out new ways of writing, such as writing in first person if you normally write in third. And you don't have to write a complete story or a full-length novel. You could write a scene or a vignette. Of course, to get the full benefit of fan fiction, you should post it somewhere where other people can read it. And here's a few places that you can post. You can post fan fiction on Wattpad, fanfiction.net, Archive of Our Own, Quotive, Web Novel, FicWad, and Facebook has many fan fiction groups. You can check them out there. That is where my group hangs out and shares their stories. I will have links to all these in the description below. Sharing your fan fiction is an important part of the process because through it you're going to gain feedback, and it's possible that you will grow an audience that will follow you as you begin publishing your original fiction. Now, if you'd like to hear more of a personal story of someone who started by writing fan fiction and is now traditionally published, you're going to want to be sure to check out my interview with Susie England. I will have a link to that in the description below. Are you a fan fiction writer and maybe you have more thoughts or tips on how writing fan fiction can help writers? Or maybe you have questions or comments about writing fan fiction. Please let me know in the comments below. Now, if you would like to read a text version of this video, you can do so at writewithheart.com, and I will have a link directly to that post for you in the description below. And in an act of brazen self-promotion, I want to give a shout out to the Romance Authors Novel Organizer. Whether you're writing original fiction or fan fiction, this is your one project planner for your story. It has everything you need from checklists and worksheets and planners. It will help you take your kernel of an idea all the way to a published book. It is available in print or directly from my website. You can get a PDF printable version. I will have a link to it in the description below. And I also want to invite you to come and check out the Write with Heart romance author community. It is free to join and you get so much cool stuff from creating your own profile. There's a growing library of tools and resources. You can start a blog, you can join groups. I send out weekly tips and industry news. We have a weekly Zoom call for support and camaraderie and a whole lot more. I will have a link to Write with Heart down in the description so you can come and check it out. Thank you so much for watching this video today to learn about fan fiction and how it can help you be a better writer. Until next time, this is Jenna Harte wishing you peace, love, and happily ever after.